Aloha. Before I get started, for people who make YouTube videos or you just make videos or whatever, I just want to share with you, I'm trying this new lav mic now, and so I can have better sound when I'm out. It's tough finding good mics, but one thing that I've noticed just now, just in this testing, I don't know, other people probably already know this, but I had this tablet plugged into a USB that was plugged into the wall, and there was some feedback coming through the mic, so I thought it might have to do something with. I had that another time with when I was using two mics. It might be the mics, I don't know, but I noticed it might be like a little troubleshooting thing. When I used a little power, you can see like a little power pack or something with the USB, the feedback didn't come back. So if you're having trouble with that, maybe that's the problem. But you know, these mics aren't the greatest anyway, but whatever. All right, so this is my 4th day of my fast now. My last meal was noon on the 4th. So yeah, I feel good. Like I said in the last video, this is mostly a mind thing and discipline, your relationship. So when I watched videos online about like water fasting and all this other stuff, it was like things you should do to avoid, you know, getting hungry or whatever. I also wrote down a whole bunch of things that I'll share too, so I'm going to be looking up and down reading stuff, which I normally don't do, but these were just kind of like little like thoughts that I don't know, they're similar to the flows that I have when I talk freestyle on these videos here. So I just wrote this stuff down. I'll probably just read it and you'll know what I'm talking about, and then I'll get into some of the other stuff about, you know, the stillness of the body. But before I go any further with that, like the videos that I watched online were mostly talking about like, well, you know, avoid television because television has commercials and all this other stuff. This is all true. I'm not like knocking any of that stuff. I'm just saying like my approach now is that's kind of like how my approach was back in the day, like 8 years ago when I was when I did my first, or tried to do my first fast. That only lasted like 2.5 days. Like I think I didn't make it to the 3rd day. I think the 2nd day is what knocked me out. Like no food for 2 days, just that stuff. It was just, plus I was doing it with somebody, and so we were kind of like limiting ourselves and like talking to ourselves through each other and talking to each other through ourselves. Like it was a whole thing, and ultimately what happened was, since we both had so much going on to process, and we didn't really have any kind of spiritual foundations to put this kind of work, it was just kind of artificial. It wasn't really, our hearts weren't in it at all, or at least mine wasn't. And generally speaking, most people who are bombarded with a lot of extra stuff, like extra weight, extra psychological weight, spiritual weight, you're not really going to be able to go, you're only going to be able to go to the depths of, you know, the weight that you're still carrying around with you. So anything you do is going to be limited by your macro engagement of reality. So it's not all about just, you know, the whole micro oneness, everything is perfect because you're existing and all this other stuff. And I mean, that's like the new age basic sort of prescription drug mentality that's getting pumped through all of it's another codependent sort of easy fix thing. So there's some things that I wanted to share so before I go, I didn't share yesterday kind of like what okay, my process of what I'm actually intaking. Is it like only water? And then there's a couple questions too. Oh, how to deal with the hunger. Okay, I'll get back to that. Right now, I'll go through, because this is part of dealing with the hunger, because I'm not doing a total water fast right now. I wanted to, or at least do something close, but I'm going to do it my own way, whatever feels natural to me. And that goes for even the process of feeling guided to do this fast, like naturally inside, not because, you know, a friend told me, or, you know, it's a challenge or something. This would actually be a good challenge, like a fasting challenge, and then have people, instead of all those dumbass challenges they got out there, do like a fasting, like do it right though. Like I'm not, and before I go any further, I'm no doctor, I'm no physician, or I have none of that stuff in any kind of way. So just, you know, I'm just sharing my experience, and what comes natural to me is going to be different for a lot of other people. So what came naturally to me, and this goes into why I took so long to get back to fasting again, is because I was like, it doesn't seem, I understand the whole maple syrup, what that does for us, and the lemon and the cleansing and the cayenne and all that stuff. But there was more to the process that I wanted to go into. So like our mineral balances, our like our minerals and our like our omegas, the water, and just working with like my immune system and clearing a lot of things out. So there's all these little details that I wasn't aware of, because I wasn't aware of a lot of this stuff. So I wasn't aware of a lot of the mucus buildup in our bodies. I wasn't aware of a lot of the things that help removing that mucus. So a lot of what I'm saying is going to loop back to, you're going to hear a lot of Dr. Sebi's kind of information mixed in with what I'm doing, but I haven't gone into studying any of his work or anything other than just kind of like glossing over the outside and knowing intuitively a lot of what he's saying, or the majority of what he's saying that works for me, is on point. So I'm taking, it's the majority of what he's been mentioning in reference to the relationship between acids and alkaline parts of our body and foods and all this other stuff. So I was taking that into account when I was going into this fast, and that kind of gave me a lot more confidence to be like, all right, well, at least my body is getting, for example, I'm taking Irish sea moss. So and that has 92 out of the 102 minerals, vital minerals that our body needs. So on that level, that's kind of like a natural multivitamin, but it's not a vitamin. These are these minerals that our body is made up of. So when we're eating a lot of food, we're eating bulk to get tiny little minerals. So since I'm not eating the bulk anymore for this fast, I wanted to at least get the minerals going. So there's a process of clearing, but in my what feels natural to me is, as I'm clearing and getting this stuff out, I want to have something of benefit to replace it with. So as I'm processing all this stuff with the water, clearing everything out, I'm losing a lot of nutrients and minerals and stuff. So I want to replace those what's getting flushed out, along with the toxins, with something that is, or at least feels natural. So what I've been doing recently, and what I'm doing now during this fast, is, like I said, originally I wanted to do the grape fast. So it's just eating grapes, because it's like 96% or something distilled water, and then just like your good sugars. So that's what I wanted to do to help like process and clean and clear everything out. But let me find that now. Yeah, let me find it. And while I'm talking, I'm going to try to look for this little meme that I had that was in relation to like explaining the benefits of dates. So so getting back to it, I couldn't find any grapes with seeds in it. There were no grapes with seeds. I'm gonna go look again in the regular kind of grocery stores and find out. But I couldn't find anything with grapes, but I had already had some organic, what they call medjool dates here already. And I just snack on them like I normally snack on pumpkin seeds, raw pumpkin seeds, and raw pumpkin seeds and raw sunflower seeds that have a little bit of Himalayan salts on them. I'm not doing that during this fast though. I only want to, if I'm going to do anything, if I'm going to eat anything during this fast, it's going to be one thing, and it's going to be like dates or something like that. Just to get something, because like I said, this is mostly within your mind. So, and it's not a lot of dates. Like within the last 4 days, I've had like 10 dates. So I kept the seeds to keep track of, you know, what's going on and if anything's changed. So I think it's like 10 or something like that in like 4 days. So there's that. Just to like have something in between, just to like feel like, okay, well, it does give me a little boost, but it also kind of like the Irish sea moss, it fills my body with nutrients, and I'm not like, there's no like fats or anything like that or heavy ass calories. I'm still trying to find this thing. Hold on real quick, because I wanted to read off the benefits of dates, and if anybody, you know, knows anything about this, then they can go further, but or leave something in the comments. But I at least wanted to find it. Hopefully it's on this page. Find it and share it. But that's what I'm doing. I had these organic dates, Irish sea moss. I do those 4 pills or capsules that I did, that I made in the morning. A few dates. I know dates, what I do remember, dates have iron, phosphorus. I think they have magnesium. Let me find it. Iron, phosphorus, magnesium, and they have, parasites. So people who are still eating meat or whatever, or even if you're not eating meat, if you just are kind of like thinking you might have some parasites or whatever, I don't know. I don't feel like I have any parasites. I just like dates, and they seem like really beneficial for our body. Where the hell is this thing? I thought it was closer. And like I said, it just feels good, and it's kind of like, it's like what keeps me kind of going, even though like mostly it's just the discipline of not, you know, as soon, and I'll get into that in a second. Discipline. Okay, so the desire. So really, you're talking about when you're doing a fast, it's not so much about the TV. You're not in commercials, and it ain't about that. It's mostly about your relationship with time, and the way like you're. Okay, so dates are alkaline foods for energy. So that's good. And I know dates were good for that. That wasn't the post that I was looking for. I'll get it pretty soon. What am I talking about? Oh, okay, so desire, your relationship with time. So desire, think of it as like food, okay? Like if you have a relationship with food that's, you know, deeper than your relationship with like family members or stuff like that. Some people have that like that. Then that means that internally their desire lasts, for example purposes, like 15 minutes long, something like that. I mean, that's a long time, but it might not be. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, you can, the point is your relationship with time, so you can not reprogram yourself, but you can catch yourself. And just like you can't be subjected to, or you can work on like a muscle not being subjected to your emotions, you can catch yourself and not be subjected to your desires, because desire is very similar to the emotion. I can't believe I can't find this thing. And I know it's on this page somewhere. Anyway, I'll find it. So yeah, so when you understand, so your desire, your time, your relationship that time has with desire is the main ingredient in that whole interaction is discipline. So your discipline is going to allow you to sit in that space of, I need to eat, or I need to masturbate, or I need to, you know, go have a drink, or I need to go do this. Like all these things that we're filling our bodies with, they're relating to our relationship with time, our relationship with how we talk to ourselves. That's what it is. This is why it's mostly about our minds, like how we talk to ourselves. So what a whole fast really boils down to is, like, I thought about this earlier. It almost is kind of like a battle. It's like a battle, like it's your mind versus your body. And then if you have a close relationship with your spirit, then that will empower your mind over your body. But if your body is more of an influence on your decisions in your everyday reality, which is what the television does to maintain chaos and codependent slaves, as long as you're in that space, damn it, I almost found it. I just went back to the other one. I thought that was it. So it's, shit, that might be coming up. So yeah, the mind and the spirit will help you overcome your physical desires, as long as you work on your discipline and your time, like your relationship with time and so forth. If you're so locked up in your emotions a lot, you're going to try to process, or if you got a lot of stuff to work on, everything that you try to process spiritually will be processed through all that work that you have to work on. So like you can't do, there's a lot of things that, like for me, fasting a while ago wouldn't have been successful because I didn't have any angles of confidence. I wasn't physically confident. I wasn't psychologically confident. I wasn't spiritually confident. I had no psychological reasons to do this. I had no spiritual reasons to do this. I had no physical reasons to do this. And even if I did, they were very shallow, very weak, and very just kind of like commercial, or just like, you know what I mean. Damn it, I think I can't find this. Benefits anyway. It's in here somewhere. Oh, maybe no, I didn't. Maybe I did. All these things, and that one date thing is not in here. Let's see, everything else. So black walnuts. I'm on a black vegan tube on Instagram right now because that's where it came from. I'm pretty sure, but I didn't think it was this old. I'll find it. They got a lot of stuff on here. I recommend it. I'm not vegan. I'm vegetarian. I don't know what I'm gonna be after this fast though, because this change. I can feel my whole body changing. Once you get all that, I've never gone to the depths of, you know, processing all these toxins out and then actually knowing what to do to replace a lot of that stuff. So I'm definitely gonna get back in the gym after this, and as soon as I find my balance again. I'm not gonna find it on here. It's probably on another page. But anyway, they got dates have vital nutrients. I remember it was like magnesium, phosphorus, iron, and like 2 or 3 more, maybe 4 more things that are beneficial, like minerals like that. Plus they're good for removing parasites. And that was enough for me. Like I was like, all right, well, I don't know. Like I used to eat meat, so maybe there's still some shit in there that I haven't worked on. So, you know, either I'm gonna eat a bunch of grapes all day, which is good for flushing everything out, and also kind of like working with the hunger pains and all that other stuff. And that's the thing. I don't have hunger pains because that goes back to the whole thing again. Like, how long does hunger last? How long does hunger last in our bodies, or in our moment? Like when I had no self-control or no discipline, hunger was controlling my body so much where I was eating like McDonald's 4 times a day. This is a true story. When I was in the military, they had no nutrition guidelines because you worked out so much. You could just, you could eat anything. So your actual like mineral and nutritional health wasn't really, it didn't matter. And that's what I realized is like one of the biggest things that does matter nowadays, and why this gym rat mentality and this kind of like protein body monkey minded mentality is dangerous, because you get people thrusting themselves into that world of you know, betterment, and then they never really get anything out of it. They're never really fulfilled in any kind of way. They're just using the gym or their body changing as like another prescription drug, but they're not really psychologically or spiritually doing anything to combat a lot of the things that, you know, are adding to that cancer, or adding to those problems, or adding to that depression. We don't go that far, and that's why the physical, sexual, over-sexualized, overstimulated mentality of mainstream society is pumped out so much, because that adds to, like I was saying in the last video, that adds to more codependency on the system. So just like I said, literally the food weighs you down, and as you get weighed down, you need more. You need more food, you need more fillers, and in order to get more of that stuff, you have to invest more into the system. So it's kind of like making you make the decision to stay connected to this broken, chaotic ass society. So what happens is, they do that throughout society. They do it with the food. They do it with the prescription drugs, obviously. They do it with the so-called illegal drugs. They do it with sex. They do it with even reproduction. It's kind of like have more kids. Like, the more kids that you have, the more responsibilities that you need to provide for those kids. The more, in order to get those responsibilities, in order to provide for those responsibilities for those children, you have to vest yourself deeper into the establishment. So this is why everything is intertwined, and it's not so much about the bad guys doing this. It's our ignorance, not knowing where to start or what to do, or what, you know, we take all these labels, we have all this stuff, but we don't really anchor ourselves into anything real. We just accept, you know, what the status quo of reality has said, you know, is okay. It's like, this is what you should accept. This is what you should believe. So instead of, you know, going through life knowing, you're going through life guessing and believing. So that's why these YouTubers are out there. Maybe it's a simulation. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe, and they'll stay there forever. You know why? Because they haven't challenged themselves to go to finding their own internal authority. They're still waiting on the world to tell them or approve of them. It's consciously or subconsciously, whatever it is. We weren't born with any of this bullshit that these people in the truther community are talking about. It's very, very simple how simple it is that we can, where we can start. Start small, like I was saying, with any kind of movement, people asking for solutions. My thing has always been start small, the same way we always had it back, you know, or the indigenous people, the tribes had it. Like you can take care, you only need a few people within a whole mile radius to take care of things. So you can have some people growing things over here, these people over here doing the water, these people over here, you know, making shoes or something like that, these people over here. And then by the time you know it, you're going to have an abundance of things. You're going to have real art galleries, real exchanges, because the real artists are not going to be working at fucking McDonald's or Burger King or anymore. They're going to be able to invest into their art and do what they want. And you'll still have what you need. But the government and the system, what it does is it convinces you that you need more by conditioning you to desire more. So you desire more sex, you desire more food, you desire more relationships, you desire more kids, you desire more money, you desire more of all this shit that's out there. And before you know it, before the end, the day is up, you never really had any an original thought of your own. It was all implanted by this system designed to make you attach yourself to it. And we've had generations and generations of us attaching ourselves to it, that we don't know anything else. But that's the thing. The people who are still connected to their ancestral lineage, we know what else there is. But who has the hold of the microphone now? And they always dropping the mic. Who's holding the microphone? Who's the last person that has to drop the microphone right now? These so-called settlers, these colonists. They ain't dropped that mic yet. They dropped it back then when they were like, white supremacists. Boom. They were like, we're the shit. We're it. And then nowadays, they don't have that anymore. Like on the outskirts, now it exists kind of like in the money schemes. It's like, well, it's not about being white. That don't make you, you know, whatever. It ain't about that. It's about like the god of money, the god of this world now. So whiteness is now, whiteness back then, today is now moneyness. So how much finances, how much business, how cool do you look? How successful do you look? Back then you just had to be white. Today, now you got to have money. So it's a way of controlling, funneling all the resources. So that's why I said when I talk about truth, all different kinds of truth, the macro truth, then you start to disassemble a lot of the things we don't even know is there and that's of any kind of importance. Like so people who aren't affected by racism, they're going to continue to downplay it because it's not a part of they can't even, there's no way they can empathize with it. People get shot on the street, they can't empathize with it. People are dying, like drugs are going into the community, guns are going into the community, people getting shot every day, people dying of diabetes and heart conditions every single day on huge scales. The numbers are crazy between like people who are in healthy environments and people who are living in the inner cities. That gap is huge. People can't comprehend how that was on purpose. And I've said many a times on this channel, you can start just with the legislature that was passed in the past in this country that people like Alex Jones are still kind of defending as like the best. America is the best thing in the world. So they're talking about he's saying redlining was the best thing in the world. The Homestead Act was the best thing in the world. The head right system was the best thing in the world. And all those systems were designed to put so-called white people up on a pedestal and give them a head start and push them into this world while simultaneously beating down and destroying everybody else, because they had to create a space of they need to die and we need to reproduce and live, so we can take over this land. So that's what they did with all the lands that were colonized all the time. It wasn't about the guns and all that other shit. It was about the pilgrims they called in, the settlers, and those were the real soldiers there, because those were the soldiers that were going to last for a long time, and that's the war. That's the spiritual war, your relationship with land and everything. That's the one that matters. Everything else like goes down from there. So let me finish. Let me go back to before I start reading this. The AI has basically been just going back. Anytime I have like a hunger or any kind of thing like that, I immediately like my relationship with time, the discipline that I have, not only from the military, but after the military, and knowing what actually discipline is on many different ways. But it's in the relationship with the mind. So even my relationship with my dreams is helping me with my relationship, or this fast, because my relationship with my dreams helps me with my relationship with time, which helps me with my relationship with discipline, which then helps me kind of like knock that little, like as soon as the body says, hey, like, hey, eat something, I'm just like, why? There's people done fast for hell long. Like in my head, like if I could do it, like I want to push to like 40 days. I want to go hard. I don't know how long it's gonna go, but the thing is, I have the time to do it. I think I have the space to do it. I'm just gonna go as long as I can. We'll see. I don't know. Whatever happens, I'll be able to explain it and then just share with people what's going on. But yeah, so at least, like, I don't know. I don't want to put any kind of numbers out there right now because I don't know how it's going to be. All I know is that I want to go there. I want to go into like at least double digits just to feel my body, because I know how I felt after 3 days. That was amazing. Like just walking around yesterday. Now I wasn't at peak. This is the thing. Like, it's amazing in a sense because, like I said, it's like your body and your spirit versus your spirit and your mind versus your body. So when you clear all the toxins and all the shit out of your body, that gives your mind and your spirit a capability or an access to do things that it didn't have before, because the body was in charge. The body was maintaining everything and making sure it was your whole day. All of your time was based upon your body, your desire, your physical desires, and that whole thing. So when I was walking around, it wasn't all perfect. Like, there were some times with like missteps. I was off a little bit. But it was because my body was off. I'm still like in shock. But, you know, if your mind and your spirit is strong enough, then you can hold it down. It's not that difficult. But like I said, it's not completely perfect because your body's going through a stress. You're stressing your body, and if your body is stressed, your mind is going to be stressed in a way. But if you work out your mind and you work out your spirit enough, then the little stuff that's happening with your body, or seemingly little to certain people, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So yeah, I might have had some dizzy spells when it was real hot. Like, I got a little hot out there yesterday. What else? Like, there's like a misstep in movement, kind of like, because like of eyes, like focus. So I have a clarity of focus on the mind, but my eyes at that time yesterday, is coming back now, were just a little kind of like how you feel when you're sick. So when you're sick, you kind of like, you're a little behind. So you might turn like this, but your eyes don't get there. So I'll turn like this, but my eyes are kind of like, they don't catch up until I'll be like, and then, yeah, because, you know, your body is just kind of like, man, why are you moving so fast? So, so that was happening. That happens all the time. So I'm doing, but it stops. It slows down after your body gets into this. It takes a deep breath. That's what happens. Your body goes into a shock, in a sense. It goes into like a kind of a shock, and then a light shock, like a healthy shock. It's kind of like you're waking up a part of your body and your mind and your spirit that had been dormant for so long, because all three of them have been just, you know, dependent on, you know, a baseline cruise control, like stuck in first gear or second gear. You got at least 5 gears going on. You ain't even hit the freeway. You ain't even on the busy roads on the streets yet. Let alone get to the freeway. So people are still in fifth gear, too afraid to get out of the driveway. They don't want to drive out of the driveway. They're driving to their mailbox and driving back and calling that life in first gear. That ain't life. It don't matter how happy-go-lucky you want to act like it is. In the new age community, that's some bullshit. So there's way more complexities and things that are on purpose that we can ignore, but it ain't gonna go nowhere. It's gonna be our responsibility sometime or another to do something about that. So okay, so I wake up in the morning. My first thing is drink a whole bunch of water. So I have that Mountain Valley type of water, glass, just a glass, because I've learned that drinking out of like not a fancy glass, but a comfortable glass. So whatever kind of water tastes better in glass anyway. So get yourself, if you're gonna do a fast, get yourself a couple of drinking containers if you want to do it like I'm doing it, or if you want to do it on your own or whatever. I just have drinking containers all over the place. So and I don't have a big place or anything, but I have like a big glass, a little glass, and a big glass bottle. Well, the middle glass is for, the medium one is for like when I take my Irish sea moss and my oils, because I don't want any of the oils to get on my bottle. I don't want the smell or anything like that. So I'm just drinking out of that green bottle the whole time, and I think that's like a liter or something like that. So I'll drink like 2 of those or 3 of those, and then in the day, and then overall water intake overall, because I also mix in the kind of water that I'm drinking is alkaline, mostly alkaline water, and a little bit of distilled water. So mostly alkaline and some distilled. So I mix in both just because that's what feels like cool to me. I'll find my own balance. I don't know what other people recommend and all that other stuff. You can do that, but I know the benefits of distilled water, and I can feel the benefits of alkaline water. So that's what I'm doing for water. For minerals, the Irish sea moss. For other kind of things that are beneficial, that I should have found it on here and showed you, but people who know about black seed oil, immune system builder, and all kinds of, it's beneficial for mucus removal. Same thing with the sea moss, mucus removal. So this is removing the mucus from the blood or the entire system. Anything that removes the mucus, that's what I'm working towards. So that's why the sea moss is there. That's why the black seed oil is there. And also I'm taking sea buckthorn oil, and sea buckthorn oil is good for the skin too. Also has beneficial properties for like yeah, I don't want to go into all that stuff right now, because then I don't know too much about it either, I'm not gonna lie, but from the research that I've done over the years, sea buckthorn oil is way better than any kind of fish oil. So it's like the fish oil alternative. That's what it is. And you don't have to deal with any kind of like meat sort of things. It's just plain. It's just you know. So sea buckthorn oil, 1 tablespoon. Is it a tablespoon or a teaspoon? I think it's a teaspoon. Between 1 and 1.5 teaspoons of sea buckthorn oil and black seed oil. I pour it in a little shot glass that has little measuring things on there, and I just shoot it right after I take my sea moss capsules, and I pound that water, and then after that I'll eat like 1 or 2 dates depending on how I'm feeling, because I don't want to eat too much. Even if I had the grapes, I wouldn't even be eating a lot of grapes. So I have these dates, I wouldn't even be eating a lot of grapes or dates, because I want my body to be, you know, as mellow and as kind of like I don't want to have to do a lot of, I don't want to have to process a lot. I want to feel the most of this fast. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, so that's basically, one thing I did find out from some people talking about the water fast and everything was that it's okay to have like sparkling water, so no calorie, like sparkling water. It's a good, so you're playing with your senses, your sensations. So this is another thing that I do too. So I'll have like a sparkling water in the day and then one in the evening if I need it, or I feel like if hunger comes up, sparkling water to mix it with. If I'm like tired, sensation wise, of regular water, I'll just mix that up, because that's what helps like dealing with the chaos that your body's going through, is to like get some chaos going around you. So get some sparkling water sensations, like play with the sensations. So sparkling water, the regular water in different like containers, and like I said, the dates. That's been enough for me. And before I even started this fast, it wasn't like I hadn't fasted at all. My appetite has completely changed once I started changing, researching a lot of stuff, because I started to focus on the macro. So it's like over time, my intake of a lot of stuff is not even close to what it used to be. Like I said, I was eating 4 times a day sometimes. The 4th one was when I was out at night or something, like on a Friday or Saturday downtown, eating like hot dogs off the street in Hawaii or something like that. You know, shit like that. After having like breakfast, McDonald's, lunch, Burger King or some shit. That was the only one on post. Oh, actually, no, it was out there. It was a different stuff on post than that post. But you know, just the garbage shit that's out there. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. 4 times a day. Time. There's something else I wanted to say with the time too, that 4 times a day thing, or 3 times a day. Anyway, I'll get back to that. So, having cleared a lot of the psychological and spiritual toxins out of my presence in every kind of different way, it's affected it's kind of like upgraded my body. So my body doesn't require all this shit. Like I'm eating breakfast and eating all this breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just big ass lunch. And it's like people are like, oh, you're a big guy. You eat all this stuff and all this other stuff. I am pretty big. I'm probably like, I'm 6'2", but I'm probably like, I haven't weighed myself and I lost some weight now. I'm probably right around, now probably around just under 200, or about just over 200, between just under and just over 200. That, because I haven't weighed myself in a while. But my weight is like evenly kind of distributed around my body in every, so the fat that accumulates in my family's body is just kind of like in certain areas. So and that comes mostly because we don't pay attention to the food we eat. A lot of our family members die from like heart conditions and shit like that. So the thing is, once you start doing like good things for yourself, something happens, kind of like you get like exponential kickback. And this goes back to something I posted on Instagram earlier this morning about yeah, I had it and then I just forget it. It's the micro and macro again. Anyway, I'll come back to it. I'll just find it now and read it, because maybe it'll trigger me into the next topic that I wanted to talk about. I definitely will. Okay, so that's what it was. People who was raised on love see shit differently from people who was raised on survival. So that's what it was. When you go through that struggle, not to mention our capabilities naturally without having to deal with any kind of like struggle to attain some shit. But since you do have a struggle to attain some things, it's an existence, it's a fact that happens, not like it's like I'm saying it's a cool thing. No, it's just a thing that happens. Since that happens for some people and doesn't happen for other people, the people who have gone through it, that survival mode, because they had to for generations, once they do break out of that and they come back, they have lessons, energy, experience, and a connection to what's going on here that is way deeper than anybody who was spoon-fed with a silver spoon their entire lives. They don't know, a lot of those people don't know a deep connection with love. They don't have a lot of understanding and overstanding of trust. Because they have everything. They've been given everything. This is why so-called white people are getting so angry now at the government, because the government used to be their best friend. It used to be their buddies. It used to be their mama and papa and give them everything. But now the government is like, go fuck yourself. Like, we don't give a fuck about you. You guys we used you for what we needed you for. We needed you to come here, have babies, and fill the cities around this land, so we can just build our city halls in our land and our train tracks and our stadiums all over the place. our Roman castles all over the place. We needed you to have sex, to be fat, to be happy in this fake prideful freedom, liberation, liberty sort of fake bullshit. And we needed you to go do that on this land so we as the government could come in and be your providers for the rest of your life. That's what they said. And now that they've taken over the land, they don't need y'all asses anymore. They're like, yeah, right. You came here for what? Go fuck yourself. You don't need anything. Ain't no benefits here for you. What you need? They're treating you just the way they treated us. And that's why people are having so problems. Oh, I don't know. And then when you talk about racism, that's the double back that they try to get you away from, you know, seeing how deep that shit. Anyway. So, minerals, the oils. So, it's a lot of this, seeing this as like a vehicle too. Like a fuel. You can get by on fast food. That could be some fuel when you have nothing. But there's different kinds of fuel. Like there's a lot of stuff out there that's really good for you, and a lot of shit out there that's bad for you. So on this fast, if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna do all the shit that's good for me, and to help to help my body. So instead of just being like, you're a bad body, like you desire too much, you desire fats and all this other shit, and just to like what's that, personify it. What was I gonna say? Something with, anyway, I'll get back to it. Let me go this. I probably already wrote it down in here anyway. Oh, another thing I would take, and I'm going to go get some today, is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is another thing that I'm going to take, probably like, I don't know how much, but I'll do like just a little glass, probably like a little glass of it. So it'll be chlorophyll, black seed oil, sea buckthorn oil, Irish sea moss, and alkaline water. I think it just cut off. Distilled water and alkaline water. And the dates or grapes or whatever you're gonna do. I don't like I said, I'm not like a doctor or anything like this, so don't follow me on the dates or even the grapes or anything. Just think for yourself. Feel for yourself. So let's see. CBD oil would be another thing that I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna go get some if they have some over there. CBD oil, sparkling water. I don't see anything wrong with having a little vape every now and again. Because THC, not what you call it, vape, nicotine, not that. Also because it helps with hunger too. So not like crazy, because I don't want to have anything like a lot in my body, but every now and again I'll take a little puff of a vape pen just so I could have something to, you know, throw my attention off, because that's really what's happening. You get these waves of hunger, you get these waves of whatever, these waves of your mind hunger, your body hunger, and it just goes back and forth. So it's kind of like dancing, because that's what, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So another thing that helps with the hunger too is the main thing that helps with the hunger is to have a plan. Like, have a plan for your day. You need to have something to do that's going to soak up a lot of time, because that's really what, since this is a mind game, you're really working with the relationship that your mind has with time. So in order to help your body and your mind not be so overwhelmed with dodging all this shit, have it be engaged in something. So take a ride somewhere and go to a park, go walk down by the river, and like eat up some hours. And also on top of that, get some energy from other things. So and go talk to people. Like I said, go sit by the river, go out in nature, go ground yourself, take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground. breathe a lot of fresh air, take a lot of deeper breaths. So what I do a lot of the times is, since there's shitty air around us, I find myself always shallow breathing. What I'm doing now is kind of forcing myself, because it's like a rhythm we get out of, we don't even recognize it. Heavier breathing, like deeper breathing is what I'm doing now, because that's another way that makes me feel good. Energy. Fresh air is another thing too. If you're inside a lot, like it's cold right now, if you're inside, go out and, you know, shock your body. That's another way to kind of like play with the hunger and all that other stuff and throw things off and eat up time. But fresh air does give you energy. The tree, being around the trees, being outside, being around people, all this stuff gives you energy. And when you're talking about food, this is what you're really talking about. We're talking about energy. So we have to find something that gives us energy. And there's all kinds of shit around us that provides us with energy. Another thing that provides you with energy, like I said before, was what you do, like how you talk to yourself, how you speak to yourself. So one thing that's also giving me energy, but also helping me with time, is to stay engaged in like videos like this. So when I'm processing a lot of the compilations, like it takes me hours and hours and hours to do a lot of that stuff, especially how steady it is. So it's kind of like a really good environment for me to fast. If I don't have, like, for right now, I'm kind of taking a break. I don't have kind of like external responsibilities right now for this little chunk of time. So to take best advantage of it, the fast and the work at the same time is helping me. So yeah, working, staying engaged, having a bunch of little things to do. Have a bunch of things. So like I have in my head, like eventually one of these days I want to go get a massage, like an hour or an hour and a half somewhere, because that's going to help with releasing a lot of the toxins out of my muscles. So that's another thing that you can do, if you can do it, or get somebody else to give you a massage or something like that. If it wasn't so cold, or if there was like an indoor saltwater pool, I'd definitely be hanging out in that. But right now it's cold. I don't really want to be around chlorinated water and anything like that. So these are just some of the things that I would do if we're around, but things that I am doing right now. So now I'll end it like that. I'll end it on that point. Stillness of the body. So I'll get back to that. So overall, the stillness, like the best thing that's happening that I'm seeing and feeling right now, is this natural stillness that comes from your body not having to constantly be working. So you're constantly in this cycle every day. You think about it, how much our desires and our tools and our crutches are a part of our reality, because those, the same way I'm playing with the hunger is the same way the tools play with us. They use us. So, or we allow them to use us. So like food, in a sense that we lose our time, like our time gets given away to, you know, all the shit that we've desired so much. So this is a good example. So we wake up in the morning, a lot of people drink coffee. So, and everybody drinks, or most people eat breakfast. Like it's a thing, like it's in your head. It's like this is already happening. Like you go to sleep looking forward to that. Like I used to go to sleep looking forward to the new cereal in the morning or shit like that, you know. But on a subconscious scale, as a kid, on a subconscious scale, this is happening to us with grown-up stuff. So like, what do you do when you're growing up? You wake up in the morning, you drink your coffee, you eat your breakfast, you go to work. You go to work in the morning, it boils down to energy. Coffee, you think you're getting energy, you're not. You're just suppressing a large part of yourself, thinking that you're getting energy from caffeine. That's not what it's doing, though. It's actually adding more chaos to your body. It's like suppressing. It's suppressing the feeling inside of you in your brain, like it's suppressing the chemical reactions that make you feel tired or make you feel. So you don't really feel that you're tired, but you're still, that's why when caffeine dies off, you're still the same that you were. So caffeine doesn't give you energy. It suppresses your ability to feel like that you're tired, and it fills you with this artificial version of energy. It's you filling yourself with that artificial version of energy by suppressing your senses, your neurons, or whatever the hell that is. Okay, so yeah, so the coffee, the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's also vested in like our love, like our relationship. So how deep is food in like feeling good, like when bad things happen, like in our family, like in other families too, when bad things happen, like even when good things happen, you eat, you come together, like you do that. Like it's the glue for a lot of things and people. So there's that. That's deeply ingrained in our relationship with our desires. So we use those relationships to give the okay, or whatever the word is, or that, like to say, okay, this me accepting this is okay. So because why? Because, oh yeah, this food reminds me of this and I want to feel good, so this is in this moment right now. We do that all the time. I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is that just be more aware of it. Be cognizant that it's happening, because in that moment you can be more aware of the shit that's happening that is not necessarily productive for you in any kind of way. So time, food, coffee, all that other stuff. So all this stuff works against us. So and coffee is also a diuretic too. So that's also pumped into our reality to help with help the government's perspective, to help with keeping people cycling food through. So if you got a diuretic going through these people on a regular basis throughout the day, that means they can eat more shit. So they can pump more shit to their fucking body just because they're just drinking coffee while they're eating it. They're just nom, 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 eating coffee, just cycling that shit through their body, just shitting it out. And this is why all that Taco Bell and all that people who eat Taco Bell, it immediately shits right out of them. You know why? Because as soon as they finish eating that Taco Bell, what gets Taco Bell more money? When they are addicted to that shit, it gets out of them quickly. Think about it, microseconds. This is fucked up. I never thought about this till now. This is really fucked up. They've got it down to a business plan. You're shitting yourself. Because this is the thing. If you only shit yourself, like if you're eating food, I'll step away from the from how fucked up it is and get into like a better example. If the fast food was giving you nutrients, you wouldn't have to eat as much fast food. But they have to give you a lot of nothing in order to keep you coming back. And they also have to get that nothing out of your system as fast as possible to get as much money from you as possible. This is where the benefit of fast food industries and poisoning you comes into effect. So that's happening every single day as the fast food algorithm. That's the alchemy. That's the algorithm within the alchemy of what fast food and the whole nutrient deficient food cycle is in relationship to our reality. That's what's going on a large scale. We don't see it because we're used to it. We think it's normal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh shit, I'm gonna eat these eggs and bacon. I'm gonna have my BLT for lunch. I'm gonna have my meatloaf for dinner. I'm fucking living the dream. Living my best life. No, you're not. All right. No. All right, I'm just gonna read this shit now because it's not shit. It's actually pretty good. Hopefully, I don't get sidetracked and let this video go on too long. Just hit almost an hour. So, let's see. Did I hit everything else? The process, the hunger, the discipline, the time, the fast food, that relationship. Oh, and that's what the reproduction. Yeah, so shitting yourself all the time, fast food. It's a good example of like, now shrink that all the way down to your normal, like the people who don't eat fast food all the time. They think they're cool all the time, but they still eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their cycles are based upon what the system told them to be like. Your time is based upon what the system told you to be like. It's based upon like all right, well, I'm hungry now. Am I gonna be this exact hungry tomorrow or 3 weeks from now? No, it's gonna change based upon the seasons, the weather, the moon, the time of the day. Like, all this shit is involved in you. But when you're told breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they do that for a reason. That's not for your benefit. They want to make it seem like they have the knowledge to tell you. That's just like telling you they have the knowledge of the universe. They have the knowledge of heliocentrism. They have the knowledge of our origins, where they're telling you that they have the knowledge of your body and how it should be. And that's why that whole pyramid, that food pyramid, is out there. It's to have an authority over you. The food relationship you have, it's not only about weighing you down, it's also about adding a credible authority in their world, a credible side of authority in your consciousness. So you believe them anymore. You trust them even more. Why? Because they give you information from the CDC, and they give you information from the EPA and the FDA and all these businesses that are out, these corporations, these government corporations that are designed to make it look. The CDC the CDC is the corporation that is designed to make you think that vaccines overall are okay. That's that government agency. The Environmental Protection Agency is out there to make you think that the government is protecting you and protecting nature and the land. And it gives you an authority like that. Like you think you give them that authority. The Food and Drug Administration, they're telling you about that food pyramid shit. The Food and Drug Administration is the ones that's telling you, eat them bacon and eggs and them pancakes as long as you work out, and then you can eat that every day. And eat that steak and eggs, eat that steak and eggs, eat that meatloaf, eat that. They're telling you all this shit. They're telling you to drink all that milk. They're telling you to eat all this shit. They're approving. The FDA is approving of the fast food. They're approving of that consciousness. So they are the authorities of like what makes you codependent on them. And all these things are just like a constant wave. You're constantly getting hit with a wave. So in one moment you think about food. In another moment you think about your kids. In another moment you think about education. Another moment you think about your job. Another moment you think about vacation. Another moment you think about your family. Another moment you think about your friends. Another moment you think about social media. Another moment you think about the news. Another moment you think about poverty. Another moment you think about what's happening down the street. Another moment these are all the things that fill up our days, and they bounce all over the place, and we pop into these little bubbles and we stay safe in them all the time because that's what we're being conditioned to do. And that's what the system does to ensure a properly enslaved mind. And the food is part of that too. So I'll just read this and end this. It's already over an hour. So before now, that's why I don't think I finished it. So fasting isn't really new. So that goes back to what I was saying before I started and I went off. I'm coming back again. Hopefully I don't go off again. Fasting is not necessarily new to me because I've gone, 2 days without eating and then just not even noticing it. Like it just happened because I was working or whatever it was. And sometimes the moon affects my hunger too. Some people can attest to this and leave comments to help people see too, if you feel this way. The moon cycles, like on a full moon is a good example. Full moon and new moon. Not so much the new moon as it is the full moon though. Full moons across the board, this has happened since I've been paying attention to my body and what's going on and the cycles and all this other stuff. On a full moon, there are some full moons where my body is like, you need to eat everything in a 5 mile square, 5 square mile radius. And then there are some full moons to where I don't want to be around food. I can't, like, either I'm so busy, usually because I'm busy mentally or psychologically. That's my food. So this is another kind of food that you can eat to help with the hunger pains. Get some intellectual, some spiritual food in your day. Like I said, keep it in your bubbles so you're filling yourself up with energy in all kinds of other ways that are like positive fillers rather than like quick fillers. Okay, so yeah. So before now, I had intermittent fasting, to where I would, you know, it's not at all uncommon for me to not eat all day, like a whole day, sometimes and regularly like a day and a half. I won't eat like a day and a half because my body has enough. Like the last time I ate and I'm taking these nutrients and minerals and stuff, like my body isn't like requiring a lot of stuff. It has what it needs. And I can last longer in many different ways, to where, you know, there's not like little things that you know what I mean. Anyway, so intermittent fasting has helped with my fast right now, meaning with the mind and the body. So my body is not really shocked after a while, because, you know, before now, between 8 years ago and now, I didn't start intermittent fasting until the last like 2, 3, about, yeah, probably about, actually no, about 3, 4. It was before, it was like, so actually about 5 years now, because the first time I really started to pay attention to it was when I moved back out here, and then I went back home, then I came back out here. So now it's 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, I started to be aware of like the benefits of intermittent fasting. So meaning I would just drink water, or I'd go through the day and not even have a whole meal. And on my regular days where I do eat something, I'll have like one meal, and it won't be a big meal. I make dal. I make like wild rice and dal, which is just plain, just like nothing really. And I use Himalayan salt and just like balance out with the seasoning and everything. Like simple stuff that I know, like my body, listening to my body tells me what to eat when it's not bombarded with all that shit all the time. Well, like when I was eating McDonald's all the time, my body didn't know how to say what it wanted to eat, like nutritionally or in mineral language. It was only saying, eat, fill your body with stuff, because the normal stuff that you put in there, I get a little bit of stuff out of it. So just eat shit, eat something, put some kind of mass in your body to deal with what the fuck is going on right now. Do it. And then you're like, okay, and then you do it. So that happens less with intermittent fasting. And like I said, like you wake up in the morning, like your daily cycle is built up with this. So taking shits every day. So you're like people who are unhealthy sometimes, who are working all the time. I know, because I used to work with a lot of these people. They don't even shit. They have like one shit in like 2 or 3 days, sometimes more than that. And they're constantly eating. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, where is it going? And then they'll be constipated, they'll get hemorrhoids, be under all this stress, and then have like this like fucking horrible shit like 3 days later. And then that's normal for them, but that's because that stress is just packing all that garbage and nonsense that, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's a part of it. So, and then another part of it is like how that affects us throughout the day. So like me, I do my business only in the morning time. Like that's how my body has come to be. So on days where it's normally like twice in the morning where I'm processing what I ate, you know, for the last 24 hours out, and then I start over again. If I ate a lot, like, or even if I don't eat a lot, if I just need to get this shit out of my body, sometimes I'll do my business like 3 times a day. But it'll be in the morning, and it'll just kind of be like a off and on sort of thing. Only in the morning. The rest of the day, I don't have to deal with anything. I'm just like, it's just water processing through my body. So you think about this. Your body has a relationship with the garbage that is being conditioned to us. It literally adjusts to having to process all this big heavy ass bullshit through your body every single day, which is not normal for it. It's not natural for it. The same way this mainstream ass society is not natural for us. So that's another way that this shit affects, literally pun intended, affects us. All right, I need to drink some water. 10 minutes. I don't want this to go any longer than like 10 more minutes. All right, intermittent fasting. Okay, so I don't know if it's gonna be 10 minutes or 15 minutes. All right, so lower self-triggering. This is what the food does. The food, you're triggering your lower self, the sexual desires. This is why the food and the sexual desires is all one storyline. Like I said, it locks you in to being more codependent in the system. It anchors you down. It weighs you down. So that's why it's so important for that. When they do that, it not only locks you down, but it creates like this film between you and your higher mind. So if you're locked in your lower body, your lower brain, your stomach brain, then you won't be able to use your higher mind in any kind of way, because you're too bombarded by what's happening on your lower energy centers. So as long as your body is filled with energy or bombarded with energy centers that are working improperly or working backwards, like reverse, working against you. So it's kind of like seeing as like a chakra, like an energy center, like reverse, like spinning backwards. So when you're in your system, your cycle's like you're in the flow. But when you're in a toxic environment, your energy centers not only stop, but they can start working against you. This is where your body can start to turn like septic or toxic and start like poisoning you. It's happening this way on many different ways. Fast food like that, that's your way of poisoning. Putting all these toxins in your fat cells and in your blood, that's poisoning you. We don't see it that way because we're too busy. We're conditioned to only focus on the micro scale when it deals with us. But when we deal with the macro scale and the micro scale, we don't hold the system accountable for anything. It's only us, but we don't see how that system benefits from us being sick and diseased, and we don't do anything about it because we don't acknowledge it or know about it. So the triggering of the lower self is beneficial to the establishment. Overall, that's what's happening with your food, your entertainment, your education, your morals, your everything in society is designed to trigger the lower energy centers and keep you away from your higher energy centers. Once you get smarter, you can't enslave smart slaves. You can't enslave healthy, strong, empowered, deeply rooted slaves. You can't do that because they're not slaves anymore. They're empowered beings. They're inhabiting their God essence, or whatever word you want to use. They're reflections of, like, they know that they were born for a meaning and a purpose, and ain't got shit to do with what this bogus ass establishment has said. That's why I go back to authority all the time. You wake up in the morning, your authority to do whatever it is that you're doing is not coming from the Most High. It's coming from the system. They still got a hold of your resources. So you can't serve maximally the Most High when a lot of your energy is being stolen by the responsibilities of pirates. So what's really happening here, if we're talking about the economy and all this other stuff, fixing this, people are still talking about fixing the system. And they claim to be in a relationship doing God's work and anything. No, God's work is holding these motherfuckers accountable and all this shit. All the work that needs to be done, that's what you call God's work. So it ain't what's, you know, comfortable for your version of God. See, talking about racism is uncomfortable for the people who still believe in a blonde-haired, blue-eyed God. It's uncomfortable to talk about race-related issues when you talk about in that measure, because we know for a fact that having a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, a representation of God, in heavily melanated people's homes around the world, sold to their generations every single day, promotes a self-hatred, promotes a separation, and promotes a worshiping of a certain type of people, both unconsciously and subconsciously. That is a meaning. That's a purpose. The same way a lot of this other toxic shit that's out there affects us. Powerless. Oh, I don't know, Jimmy. So, the desire, where does it start? And more, I have horrible handwriting, can't even read it. Power. Oh, okay, so everything triggers. So like I said, everything's triggering you. Social media triggers you. Another thing, oh, what I did before I forget, excuse me. Stay away from, as much as possible, from social media, all those food posts and all that other stuff. Like I said, it goes back to your relationship with desire and time and all that, and the discipline. But it's just one thing that, you know, you don't even want to make your body have to, you know, instinctively like trigger like that. So stay away from it. Another thing that I do ingest is a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. So I'll put it in water and I'll drink that like a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night. I don't know why. I know how Himalayan salt feels good to me. And that's been the best time to do it for me, is just have a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night. And it works out perfect for this fast because I get a little boost here and there. So that's another thing you can do as like a mixing things in to throw to work with the chaos that your body's already going through. Okay. Triggers. Okay, yeah, so triggers don't have an effect on you as much anymore. That's what I've noticed. Since my body is not in that system of always cycling some kind of product, my relationship with desire is less, it has less energy. So the body has less influence over my mind influence. So that's what's happening now when I'm seeing like with any kind of desire, really, kind of the desire, sexual desires or food. It doesn't mean it doesn't go away. It just means that it doesn't last as long, like the time, like back when you're bombarded, like it takes like 10 minutes to get out of the thing of food. But when you're in a good system, like that moment can only last for so long. And that's what really matters. You're not fucking around. So yeah, and the stuff doesn't, like the food doesn't look the same. Like even the food that's available to me now, if I were to go out and like eat a nice meal like now, the food that's out there is not amazing. Like, yeah, the food that I would want to eat would be the food that I make. So that's another good thing too, is if you're thinking about a location to do a fast, do it like somewhere where, you know, it's going to be the food that you're going to make, or you don't have a lot of different kinds of food around you to where your mind's not going there and thinking about that all the time. So it doesn't last as long. It's not drawn out. It's very sharp. So like I said, there's a sharpness to the mind, a sharpness to like work. There's very like, there's no fucking around anymore. Like when you're in your lower bodies, you can fuck around a lot. Like literally rude, but you know, like your stomach, your food, your art, and your sexual, your connections with, you know, all that stuff. It's just about like being just like being locked in and anchored and just kind of like zoning, meditating. But when you're bombarded, so the bombarding of your body with bullshit, it plays as a filler for your higher mind. So you don't do a lot of the work that you would do in your higher energy centers because your lower energy centers have kind of like overtaken your overall energy to do anything. So yeah, you can't work on the higher mind if 98% of your work in your day is, you know, focused on your stomach brain, or you know your what's going on down in your lower energy centers, which is another reason why we're getting triggered. On purpose, because like I said, it's beneficial for the system. So the bombardment of the lower energies with food and fat affects decision making. Stomach brain, lots of fat equals emptiness somewhere. So somewhere overall, just very generally speaking. So there's an emptiness somewhere that we're filling it with something. People do this with drugs, food, all kinds of other stuff. And that fat or that bulk, that majority of stuff, it covers your sharpness, so it dulls everything out. You're not as sharp anymore because you're not as sharp anymore. Food is emotion based, so like large, very generally, obviously, but in relation to like spiritual food. Spiritual food is not emotion-based, or even psychological food is not emotion-based, but physical food has a very definite, deep relationship with emotion. They're like cousins in a sense, in some kind of way. It's another reflection of your lower bodies, like your lower bodies triggering your desire in the moment, or having control over your 360-degree engagement in this reality. What's in control? Your stomach brain, your sexual desires, like your sacral chakra, your root chakra, like what's going on right now? What is kind of like dictating what's going on? We can see on a macro scale, the colonial mindset is dictating, just as an example, is dictating the movements of a lot of people. So how does that, what's the colonial mindset on the micro scale that we have? Well, it's all the things that we've adopted from that system. Thank you. I'd say thank you anyway. People said bless you. Yeah, so we get hit with all this stuff. We don't even know what's going on. So emotion-based, eating depression. So we're depressed, we're empty. So we eat the filler. We distract ourselves, we numb ourselves as filler. People already know this. So this is why it's difficult for people to do a fast a lot of the times, because a fast is instantaneous change on the physical level. And I've said over and over and over again, the hardest thing to do is change. And it's not just your physical change. Once you do a fast, your mind starts to change. So you know this, your mind knows this, your body knows this. So your body's going to keep your mind as far away from making that change as possible, because change for the body, or change for the body means stress for the body. Stress for the body in a sense that it has to change. So change for the mind in the positive means change for the negative, in a sense, from the personal perspective of the body, change in the negative on that aspect. So it's going to fight your mind. So the stomach brain is going to constantly send signals to distract you from, doing better. So this happens psychologically, this happens spiritually, this happens all over the place. But, that's just a good example of how the relationship between the stomach brain and the higher mind, or the lower centers and the higher centers. And the benefits of having a depressive, escapist based reality in order to enslave people, because you can provide them with everything they need to fill themselves. So you put drugs in the community, you put fast food in the community, liquor stores on the corner, you put social media out there, the Hollywood, you put all this shit, public education system. They fill their bodies up with psychological versions of fast food, or spiritual versions of the education system. It's just another way to work against us. Emotion-based eating depression. So that's another thing. We're eating depression. So you're eating that depressive ass energy, like bacon and all that other shit. You're eating depression. You're eating fear. You're eating all that shit that's solidified into that animal that just died or was slaughtered or had their throat cut. You're eating all of that solidified version of that energy, which could be seen as, it'll be processed as like a subconscious depression. So in order to just kind of like what is that term, misery loves company. So depression loves company too. So depression needs obviously the same thing, similar things. So food, you need, in order to feel better, you need more and more depression. So you need to eat more and more depression, and eventually you get high chemically off of the fat cells that are going to, and then you don't even care about being depressed anymore. That's what happens when you eat depression to kill depression. It's not killing it, it's just adding to a more physical. So we're converting psychological and spiritual depression into physical depression in order to process it and deal with it. Because it's easier, it lasts longer in the body. We can store it somewhere. So the body is kind of like a storage facility for the lessons that we're doing in many different ways. I'm loosely speaking, but how in reference to how I'm talking and fasting and everything. When everything comes from the soul to the mind, then to the body, that means that when you're processing a lot of this stuff out of your body, you're opening up centers to your mind and your soul to be active more in what used to be more of a body thing, but now it's more of a higher mind and soul thing. So you're not needing to fill yourself with any of that nonsense, it's not only negative energy, but it's anti-positive energy. So this is the thing. It's the same thing with like history. We're not only told history in the school books, we're told anti-history in the school books and on television. Those are two different things. And this is what happens to us like consciously and subconsciously. And it's very similar to like the understanding, and overstanding sort of thing. Same kind of family sort of interpretive relationship. You see what I mean? I'm not going to go into too much of that. Video's already too long. Lower self equals reproduction triggers equals more slaves anchored to the system. I said that earlier. The stomach engine is running 24/7. So just going on a fast right now is like giving my stomach engine a break, or my stomach brain engine a break. My physical engine a break. It's able to take a fucking break now, and that's why it's so stressful. It's used like, what? We're gonna run out of gas. We're gonna die. We're gonna be stranded on the side of the fucking road, and it's gonna get hot and all this other stuff. Yeah, this is what your body's saying when you start fasting, and then once you get over that space, basically you're waiting for something to pick you up on the side of the road, and what comes to pick you up on the side of the road is what? Your mind and your soul. So you're waiting for yourself to come pick you up on that desert ass road in order to feel better, because your feelings and your emotions were largely based upon what your body was in a limited version of what your mind was doing. So once that's the threshold of, I see, of 1 and 2 days, and even 3 days for whatever. You get to that point, and then your energy starts to come back, and you start feeling better again, because your mind and your soul is getting engaged again, and your physical desires and all that other shit, it doesn't have as much power over you anymore, because you've taken away its fuel center, its fuel source. So you've in a sense like reprogrammed or rewired your where your thoughts are going, where your time is going, where your emotions are going. They get naturally rewired when your body flushes all that shit. Like, it gets all that fat out of the blood, it gets all that fat out of your system, all that extra shit, all those toxins. It just gets out. Anyway, you know. So 24/7, the stomach is always working, and that stomach brain, when it's bombarded like that, it doesn't do what it was meant to do. When it's bombarded with that bullshit, it doesn't do what it's meant to do. So it's in survival mode. The same way, like what I was talking about earlier with that post about like the side effects to survival mode for an individual and for like their potential survival mode. So they're like, it's like they're getting hit with shit and they can't do what's good for them too. So that's like, and like I said, history and anti-history. It's like a double negative against you. Constantly working, your body's constantly working. So what's happening is the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the process of all that is what that does is it keeps you on a lower body triggering mechanism. So that's why we eat so much. That's why the fat is so beneficial to the system. That's why chaos is so beneficial to the system, because you're sick mentally. They got therapists that got approved by their university system to heal you. So they keep making problems to funnel you back in the system. The food puts you back in the hospital. The food puts you back in, you know, the doctor's office. Like it keeps cycling back. That's why it's McDonald's in hospitals. That's why it's McDonald's in Walmart, so on and so forth. So as long as you are bombarded and kept in the lower bodies, in the lower mind, that will be a deterrent from you being able to express and even interpret and download anything from and with the higher mind or anything else, not even just the mind, but just like your energy centers that are even your lower energy centers. You can't even deal with the maximum potential or even the baseline potential of your lower energy centers if your lower energy centers are just maxed out constantly, being just like the senses are just burnt the fuck out. Like you're just burning your taste buds. Your lower body taste buds are being blown out because you're constantly bombarding it with all this shit. Yeah. So chaos triggering, powerless, weak, sick, lost, the psychologically lost. So Instagram does this. Instagram is like the fat of your mind. So this is what's happening. It's fattening up your mind. The internet is like the fast food for your psyche. The internet is the fast food for your spirit, and it just fills up your body with all this shit. Like this is what I was saying in previous videos and other Instagram things, is that the overabundance of information is making people lazy, and it's also making people feel prideful of something that they don't have no business being prideful. Well, what are you proud for? You didn't do anything. You're just regurgitating some shit. Anybody can Google anything. They don't make what are you proud of? Google? That's not you. So that's that fake ass like expansion of consciousness that's happening with the internet and technology, transhumanism. People take it even further and they say, oh, well, now that I know all this information about CERN and simulation theory, now we can answer questions about the entire reality. Maybe it's just a reality breakdown. Maybe it's just a Mandela effect. You know what I'm talking about? So like this is where the arrogance, this is where the system is trying to be. So that individual arrogance that I was talking about, the system is going to get there eventually. The system is going to say, okay, we understand that, you know, these bad guys lied about the heliocentric universe, and we might be on a flat plane, but there's some kind of science behind it, and it's like quantum world and all this other stuff. And they're going to go into their quantum simulation theory, triggering on all that other shit. And so what's happening on an individual scale, on a micro scale, with these fake ass bubblegum ass truthers who are out there talking about all this shit, what's happening on that scale is that they're practicing the macro. The establishment is watching. They're watching how the people respond to the bubblegum truthers. and they're adjusting their bubblegum truth, the macro establishment bubblegum truth, they're adjusting it on their observations of oh, cool, it's still going. They're making their bubblegum truth that they're getting ready to come out with, all this quantum simulation stuff. They're basing it upon the individuals who are doing their own bubblegum truth with all these subscribers and all this other stuff. They're using it as a test of this is what YouTube is. What's gonna work to control the people? The only way that they could figure out what would work to control the people is if they made the people get out there and control themselves. This is what YouTube is. This is what all this other shit is. Internet as a whole. Artificial intelligence. You're feeding into the artificial intelligence. I'm going to talk with a friend of mine about this. We're going to go deep into this. Hopefully on like what's the word? I can't even think of regular ass words. That's another thing, the fasting. I don't know if it's the fasting or it probably is the fasting. But I'm still pretty sharp though. I still got it. Just every now and again, I'll be like, I'll get to that point of trying to remember something and my body feels so kind of good and relaxed that I'll try to remember, but since my body is just like, I just won't care. I don't even try to remember that shit anymore. Who cares? So I'm kind of like forcing myself to try to remember a lot of this stuff because my body is very much a part of this process that is this freestyle, whatever this shit is. So, I already went through that. So the gym, I already went through that. The bodies, the lower body triggering. Happiness, all based on the lower self, physical reinforcement. So even our psychological and spiritual happiness is filtered, funneled through the lower bodies. And then we don't even get to do anything with it. So food plays with the reinforcement, the time. It plays with our relationship, subconscious rhythms, our chaos rhythms. So as balanced as you think you are, you still have a chaos version of you that deals with the chaos of the external world and the chaos of the internal world of you know, bouncing or juggling in between the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual reality, the micro and the macro, the conscious and the subconscious. That is a chaotic process if you don't know how to navigate those waters. So the system knows that, so it maintains more problems for the individuals, which is more problems for the system. Or more problems for the macro, which is beneficial for the system because they can give you the answers for it. So, yeah, your rhythm, you don't know your rhythm because you're too busy trying to defend and inhabit their rhythms, that they're synthetic artificial intelligence rhythms. So society, so your fun, your happiness, your engagement, your friendships, your relationships are engaged in the food, the lower bodies. So when you go out with your girlfriend, you go out with your wife, or you go out with your family, you're going to go out to eat. You go out with your friends, you're going to go have a drink. You're going to eat something. You got to eat. If you're going to drink, you got to eat. So it's everything is involved in, you know, keeping us down. And we're the ones that are actually acting it out. So what are we going to hold ourselves accountable? Like, no, like I said, the hardest thing to do is change. So we don't even look at it. We don't even see that it's a problem. Like I said earlier, we can't see that it's a problem. Some people can't see that it's a problem because to look at that problem subconsciously or on a higher observation, they know that whatever the problem that they're looking at involves their internal change. So subconsciously, they'll tell their conscious version of themselves, don't do this, stay away from that. And then what your body does is processes that stay away from through a fight or flight escape mechanism sort of thing. So what it does is, instead of running like a child like it used to, instead it converts it into arguments or debates or fighting emotion, lower body, not fighting, comma, fighting and emotion, fighting and emotion. These are the lower sort of energy centers that process a lot of stuff, and what it's meant to do is to deflect so you can run away. You can get away from it, and then you don't have to process anything. You just, because, so that's the body's consciousness's way to escape change, and the system knows this, so it uses it for its benefit. So that's society, relationships. People go out to bars or restaurants to eat at the bar or something to, put themselves out there. Like, go out. If you're single, you want to go out more. And when you go out, you go to places where other people like you go out. So you go out to go eat, or you go out to have a glass of wine, or you go out to have a beer or something, whatever it is you're going to do. And also keep in mind, this is still physical. You're still talking about not chemicals, or you're talking about numbers. You're talking about rhythms. So keep in mind, like I'm saying, not to approve of this stuff, to say that this is things that exist for people a lot of times, but it's happening, not to push it out there, but this is what the system is telling you. Eat out, go and drink out, and have fun out with people, and they're playing with your rhythms. They're playing with your codes. And I said praying. They are literally preying on you with this too. So meeting new people, new people as a possible, relationship. Maybe they have kids, and then they take those kids out to dinner. Maybe they take those kids out to the same place that they met each other, the same place that has the bar, So this is how deep this programming goes. It's like nostalgic almost. Your own self-destruction is nostalgic. It becomes part of you. And this is easy to understand with like family, like even mine. Like I used to cook a bunch of shit. Like if I ate a hot link right now, I'd instantaneously go back to like my dad's side of the family, or my dad in particular. He used to make hot links and just put like just a little ketchup on there, and that was lunch. A hot dog. That was it, or a hot link, or a ham sandwich. What's that? Miracle Whip? Yeah, my dad was the only one, and my other side of the family never used Miracle Whip. But they used both, but they had it in the house. So if I was to eat that, so these are the things that, and we use it when we're in a space of transition. We say, oh, it's okay. It feels good. I'm feeling good. So as long as I feel good, that's what's okay. So these are the things we tell ourselves in order to, deal with this shit. But that's why I was saying the system wants to make it nostalgic. That's why. Because it implants itself deep into your mind, your brain mind. Because like I said, you have a stomach mind and a brain mind. Nostalgia lives in both. It lives in your stomach brain and your mind brain. It lives in both of them. So that is what keeps, that is what passes along that fucked up sort of engagement in reality onto the next generations. We call it diabetes and heart conditions are in my family. No, diabetes and heart conditions are in your mind, and then they manifest in your body over generations because your mind has consistently fed into it. All right, fun. It's a part of society. It's accepted in society. You feel like one of the crew when you're eating bacon and all that shit. That's why they got to be so prideful with it. Same thing with like globe people. The same thing with like people defending bacon is the same thing, the same way people defend the globe model. They ain't got no fucking reasons why they do it. It's just that they're proud of it. There's a reason why they should be proud of defending bacon, because bacon is on television every 5 fucking seconds. And the same thing goes with your globe model shit. They defend it because being proud makes it look like they're not weak. It's an artificial version of strength. Fucking fake ass motherfuckers. A part of society. Yeah, so it's like a suit. You wear your bacon suit. I still eat bacon. Don't you eat bacon? Fucking cool. You're my buddy. The fuck? Who thought of this shit? So somebody did. They really came up. Somebody was sitting down somewhere, probably with a bunch of other people, was like, I think we need to invest in in pork bellies, in like in trading places. We need to get bacon into the hearts and minds of society. Why? So we can own their asses. So what else is there? Conditioning. We wear these suits. Society, like wearing a suit, when flying, bacon suit. Everything's a little off, slower. Okay, so this is what I was saying earlier. So yeah, a little off. So on the other side of that sharpness, my body felt a little off in the beginning. It's natural, normal. Then boom, after like day 2, day 3, you start transitioning into getting more energy. It's almost done. So let's see. Little off. In other ways, very chill, a deeper kind of mellow, a deeper kind of chill, a deeper kind of thought process. So if I was normally in a room that was filled with like 10 other people talking a bunch of shit that, you know, and I could still process, I could still make videos, but you could see that as like if I had roommates, 10 roommates in this little ass space, if I had 10 roommates in here, but I'm still strong enough and still like capable of doing my shit, I could still pump this out, but it is going to affect my work, but I can still work to my capabilities. The thing is, when you fast, and what I felt is when I fasted, which is dealing with all of the sections of the body, all the bodies, but one very, what's the word? Repetitive body or like in your face body is the physical body. So when you remove all of that clutter, all those roommates out of your physical body consciousness, then you have a deeper kind of silence, a deeper stillness, a deeper feeling, a deeper observation of what's going on. There's a clarity, that focus I was talking about in the last video, that comes from that. So that's another benefit of of fasting. The stillness of the body allows you to have a stillness, a deeper stillness of the mind, and a deeper stillness of the spirit. So and vice versa, all the way up and through. Stillness of the spirit, stillness of the body, stillness of the psyche. All this. This is why you are constantly hit with things that make you not still, to make you chaotic, because they can give you the fake stillness. So the New Age community is like a fake stillness overall, very generally, the way they're using it against the people. It's like a fake stillness community in order to keep people in that fake or artificially intelligent stillness world. So when they install their artificially intelligent stillness establishment, the new one, they can put it in, you'll accept it because you're used to artificial stillness, artificial connections, artificial intelligence, artificial pride, artificial, like the information, that whole thing, the artificial connections to people, the artificial connections that they have to like the Andromedan galaxy and the Pleiadians and the Arcturian and all these other people who are out there saying that they're from some fucking star system. Whatever, like it's just another escape mechanism. So, but that's in everything. Same thing with like food is an escape too. Jeez, it takes forever just to say these one little ass things. Stillness of the body allows for a deeper feeling on every level, on every taste bud. Yes, stillness in the body allows for a deeper feeling on every taste bud, every layer of every taste bud. So every taste bud has a layer of consciousness, and then those taste buds get deeper and deeper. And when you get deeper taste buds in your reality on every layer, you can start making recipes and meals that you never did before, psychological, spiritual, physical meals you never even thought of. Like it happens, but you wouldn't know how to get to that stillness until you at first cleansed your, like turn the motor down. Like your body's been in the 5th gear of bullshit it's constantly running. Like I was saying, people being stuck in 5th gear or 1st gear. Well, they're stuck in 1st gear because their body has been commercially conditioned to think that their first gear is fifth gear. So when they got all this food going to their body, they're taking like 5 shits a day. They working out all the time. They putting all this shit in their body, and they're really not going into the psychological connections and the spiritual connections. They're really just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? They're maxing out. They're limited by the limitations of the world. And they're maxing out fifth gear or maxing out first gear by thinking that they're convincing themselves that they're in fifth gear because the world around them has told them they're in fifth gear. That's what the American dream is. You make the American dream, you're successful in life. You can die and you did your job here in this world. But that's first gear. We know that that's first gear at best. It's not even first gear. It's an artificial. You're not even in the car when you're only talking about the American dream and you don't have no relationship with your mind or your spirit or even your body. You're in this bullshit ass version of you're in a dream. You're really in a dream. Another recommendation before anybody takes a does a fast is do it when you're already in a good space. Do it like kind of when you have to do it, like you want to do it, like there's nothing else you want to do. That's why I waited for so long. Like everything had to line up. I had to have the time to do it. I had to be in the right mind to do it. I had to have the knowledge to do it, and be emotionally in the right space to do it. So that's all very beneficial because, like I said, that's one of the main ones to be in the right space before. Is because this is mostly a mind thing. It's mostly about your mind's relationship with your spirit and the body. Stay busy, in good busy, not like work busy or anything. Stay busy, like I said, doing things that you like to do. That's going to give you energy because that'll help you fill the spaces from not having the food energy like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Minerals, yeah, everything else. What else did I write? Anything else? Oh, I did write that. All right, I talked about that first. Length of the desire, time, and discipline. Yeah, so that's what it boils down to. Another reason why a lot of these triggers, lower body triggers, are triggered in our reality is because the less discipline that you have, the more the system can place itself out to be an authority over you. So you're a child. Children don't really have much discipline. So when you're bombarded, over-sexualized, overstimulated, overfed the bullshit, then that affects your discipline. And when you have no discipline, you're not going to be able to revolt. You're not going to be able to be healthy enough to revolt, or even know that you're healthy enough to know that you need to revolt against this shit. So this is why there's an attack on discipline too, with the food and with all this other stuff too. So that's pretty much all that I had here for this update. I needed to get some water to drink right now. I'm tired. This is almost 2 hours now. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the support. Everybody's leaving stuff in the comments too. I do really appreciate that. That's some really good information in a comment session. One thing that somebody did say about enema, I was thinking about it. I had to do more research on it because there's still like a block there for whatever reason. I think it's because I don't know, like I need to know what's going on. I need to know what it's doing rather than, somebody just said you should do an enema when you're fasting or on a water fast. So I'll research that today probably, and on my next video I'll let you know what's up with that. So that and that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for, oh yeah, the comments, that's what it was. Please leave more comments in there, because I know like even me sharing this video is going to help people kind of like who are, even if it's a little bit, think about fasting or have a better kind of like understanding and overstanding of what it is or what's going on. And then also, that's what I would say. Leave comments, please. Leave comments in the area where you leave comments. I'm like delirious now. So yeah, so leave comments. No, because the people, I know people are reading them. When people like the comments and all that other stuff, they're reading them. Share your thoughts on there. We give a fuck about what people think or they're going to reply or anything. Just leave it in there, and then because it's beneficial to people in any kind of way. Yeah, so that's about it. I'll loop this back into something else. I missed something little, but I'll put it in the next video. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.